So then, everybody, this is the second video I think I've done. The first one was a bit of a shambles, let's face it. I've left it on there so you can have a good laugh, have a look at video. So I've bought a couple more cars from the same auction. On the first video, that Polo was there, that's just been sat there. I've not really had the time. It's just too hard to try and get everything done when you work full time, as well as trying to do this. So this one here, this Mariva, it's the 1.7 design, I think. Yeah, design there. So I bought this from the same auction. I think this one cost me about 270 quid. Plus fees, obviously, plus getting it home. So it stood me at about 100 quid more, something like that. Yeah, so I noticed when I was looking at this one, I only realised last minute when I had a look, the EPS light was on the dash on this one. I've done one of these before. It's the steering angle sensor. It's about 30 quid. I think they're from Germany though, these sensors. It is a bit of a mess in here, the state of that. So I was having a look through it. It needs a good tidy up, this car. And the most disgusting part of all, that is absolutely vile. So 145 on the clock. There is a few bits that need tidying up. This needs sorting. It's obviously come off the rails. This has been stuck in just to try and keep it in position. That needs painting. Around the car, I don't know if you can see the marks. There was just endless, absolutely endless amounts of stickers all over the car. There's a couple here that I've not actually took off. I think I took off about 40 stickers. Front, side, rear, they need taking off. Worst part about this one, it's not had a very good repair. It's not been well looked after. That all needs buffing out or painting, but that needs starting. It's been welded. It looks like it's just on the front there. So that needs cutting back, and all this will need repainting. Blend it in up here. There's a bit there if you can see. I think where they've tried to rub it back a bit and welded it, heat spots. So overall, it does need a lot of tidying up, this one. But I suppose that's auction. That's auctions for you. Cars coming, they've got more problems than you thought. But I mean, other than that, it starts up, it drives alright, but I mean, the power steering's gone, it's too heavy to drive just like that. And I know that this is a common one on these. It were quite a big issue when these first came out. So yeah, that's that one. I'm hoping to just get that sorted over the next week or two. There's quite a bit to do there, quite a bit of time to put in that car. That one is going in for MOT Tuesday, I think. I've done the rear brakes on that, tightened the rear handbrake, but I'm going to leave the door as it is. I searched high and low for a door for this, and for some reason you just can't really get hold of them. They've been split for parts, they've all been taken to bits, but other than that, I mean, it's fine. I sort of had a look through the car's paperwork, but I also noticed it's had a chain change by the looks of it. So that's another one to note down when I'm selling it. And this was bought a few days ago. I think it got dropped off to me a few days ago anyway. So move that out of the way. So this one, on the pictures I noticed all the electrics were on, so I knew it wasn't dead. It wasn't a dead battery, it can't have been. But I was questioning whether it started or not, because I know on these sites the they're not very thorough with the checks, and they don't really post many details, or they're quite careless when they're, informing if it starts, drives, runs, whatever, because I've had previous cars from them, and it says no for service history, no for logbook, and it's all come with the cars. But this one, unfortunately, didn't come with anything, a bit of a mess in there. So I had a few problems with this. It arrived, and we pulled it off the truck, tried to start it over, and all it would do was just crank. It wouldn't start, it'd just try. So took the battery off. Now look, I checked all these fuses here, because I know that one on the other side is for starting the car. Basically, there's one in here on this side, and then there's one in the engine bay as well. So there's 2 fuses for the starter or for engine combustion or what have you. So anyway, I had no luck there. So I thought, oh yeah, I've got my code reader. I've got my code reader in the car. So I pulled it out, had a look, and it came up with a crank sensor fault. So this is the one that I use. It's quite basic, but it does pull up codes. But the only problem is it don't really pull up any, say if you've got any electrical problems like immobiliser faults, anything like that. So it won't actually pull them up. So anyway, before I scanned it, I checked this sensor here. That's your cam sensor. So that one was alright, that one looks brand new. But when it arrived, all this air cleaner, it bolts on. Them 2 there, and the air cleaner filter. Anyway, that was off. So the crank sensor is actually located just down there. So I've pulled that out. I've actually bought a new one because I thought I'll try it, I'll take a punt, and if I've bought something that don't work, I mean, it's like, what, 30 quid? Anyway, so I pulled this out, and it looks a bit worse for wear, let's face it. When I saw it, I knew this is had it, it's seeing its day, it's done. So I put the new one on, and as soon as I've put the key in, obviously there's going to be a lot of burnt fuel if it's just been, unburnt fuel if it's just been cranked over, because there's no combustion in the engine. So I've gone, started it up. That's the door catch. Let's have a look. So the stoplight was actually flashing all these lights, that one there, so I thought, oh no, it's going to be something serious here. So, started it up, there you go, we're running again, just like that. I know that is clicking on fully, it's not quite on, that's what that noise is. So, other than that, I'll just turn it off. So, other than that, it starts up fine. Got ourselves a bit of a bargain there. The only problem is this car, it only came with 1 key, no history, and no logbook. So, yeah, that's unfortunate, but I think all I'm going to do with this one is just service it, get the receipt for the crank sensor, service it, give it a good tidy up. I mean, it's not in bad condition at all. There's a couple of marks, a couple of scratches. I'm not sure about. That needs fixing. That's the only thing that really needs sorting. So, yeah, that's it. A couple of weeks ago, I did buy an Insignia off of a bloke. So actually, a friend messaged me and said, "Oh, there's somebody at work selling his car. Would you be interested?" So I said, yeah, send me the details, we'll see, we'll have a look. So he did anyway. I ended up going, we agreed a price. I asked him what he wanted and he wouldn't give me a price. So basically I told him, look, I'll give you this for it. I can buy however many from the auction, no problem. I've had many at this price. He says, yeah, that's absolutely fine. So anyway, I go buy the car. It's in a bit of a mess. I'll put the pictures up on the video if I can of what the car looks like. I don't actually have any pictures of what it looks like before I cleaned it, but I mean the pictures that I had for the sale, I'll put them on now. So anyway, 60 plate, 2 litre diesel, it had a engine overhaul, so I know the common problems on them are the oil pump and the oil seal, and it fails when the oil's gloopy, or if the weather's cold it gets brittle, the oil seal. So it had an engine overhaul about a year ago. So anyway, I thought it seems alright, I bought it, cleaned it up anyway. I stuck it up for sale then. It took me a day, probably about 8 or 9 hours to fully sort the car out. I stuck it up and I'm not sure what it was. I don't know if it was how clean it was or how presentable it looked for the sale, but it sold in about 10 minutes. So I mark it as pending. The bloke comes and he has a look, he goes back to get his cash. I've marked it as pending and I get a message, and it's the previous owner saying, "Oh, you've made some quick cash on me there, haven't you?" So basically complaining that I'd bought the car off him. He knew full well that I was a trader, and he understood that on the messages. He says, "Oh, you know, I know you're a trader, you're selling cars, and they said that you're building up your stock to sell." So he knew full well I was a trader. And I pointed out to him, I said, "Look, you knew I was a trader, you knew I was going to sell this car. I mentioned that I may keep it for a run about myself, because I mean, I drive this Audi A4 here. It's just not really suitable for what I need it for. I mean, I paid 550 quid for this car with full service history and 150k. It is the S-Line model, but I mean, the boot, it's not ideal really, because I mean, I need to pick up car parts and whatnot. I've got tools in the boot and it's a saloon anyway. So that was the end of that one. He sent me a couple of messages, I just ignored him. I said to him, "Look, you know, I do what I do, and I bought the car, it's not your problem." When he goes on about the logbook and saying, "Oh, nobody better be driving the car in my name." Oh, anyway, I just gave up with him. So yeah, that was another one that I sold. So I think first of all, this one needs the door card putting on there. It's just all in bits here at the minute. Needed a few repairs in there, but other than that, that's all. Yeah, so the Audi that'll be going up for sale when I've sorted out the rod ends and the CV bolt, or possibly I'll just buy a drive shaft. But yeah, it'll be the Polo going first, then the Peugeot and the Audi, and I think this will be sat here a couple of weeks more, to be honest. But yeah. Oh, and this mess here. So this yard was owned by somebody who collected waste. So it's just an outside yard. I just use it for storing cars and just changing the odd couple of bits like batteries and whatnot. So all this has come out of the ground, and this is just always waterlogged. I mean, just rubbish just gets blown everywhere. It gets blown all over. So I'm waiting for somebody to come and collect all that, and I'm actually going to get a couple of ton of the road planing just to sort of level all this out, because I can't go around picking bit by bit up either really. So yeah, hopefully next time it'll be in a bit of a better state and a couple of these will be gone.